Hello everyone, welcome to ARMOREDCAST. This week we are talking about the results of the patch 1.03.1 emergency tournament. The patch 1.03.1 changes to the meta and Cleric's ratio tournament this Sunday. Link below if you want to check that out. A very unique system. Definitely go check that out in the description down below. Hopefully you'll enjoy the podcast. Again, this is a podcast, so pop this on the second monitor, put it in your earbuds while you're running, something like that. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Hello and welcome to ARMOREDCAST, an Armored Core 6 PvP Stay of the Game podcast with me, Striker Hutassa. This week, joining me is Cleric, an Armored Core 6 YouTuber and tournament organizer who's running a tournament this Saturday with a pretty unique system.
Hi everybody, this is Cleric. Been around the scene of Armored Core since Armored Core 1. Been involved in all our communities. It's about almost 20 years at this point. Been on YouTube for quite some time. Doing a lot of Armored Core tournaments, getting involved back in the community again, and helping rebuild Armored Core fan base. And hoping to see this game flourish again. We also, with us, we have Blend, who has quite the accolades already.
Hey, what's up? I've played in a couple tournaments. I'll list them here.
Only a couple,
a few.
Blend.
Not that many, just a few. So I played in Core Gaming's 1v1 Open Class. I got first place in that one. I played in the Sendo Savage Crew ANZ 1v1 Open Class. First place in that. I played in Cleric's No Missile Tournament, got first place. I played in the Arena Pre-Build, third place. I played in the Hutassa Bipeds Only, third place. And the Emergency Patch Tournament, third place.
You only get first and third. It's so weird. Like, we talked about this a little bit before, but you mentioned, like, all the tournaments you've gone to. You only get first and third. Like, you're never going to get second. I hope you never get second in your entire career. I hope it's only first and thirds. Like, that would be so funny to me. It's like 3 years later, you're still only first and thirds. That'd be awesome.
Hopefully more firsts
well,
than thirds. Hopefully.
I hope so. You're a very cool player. And honestly, with this new patch, I feel like we're going to see a lot more build variety and stuff like that. Because this new patch is just freaking incredible, guys. Like, I legitimately have never felt so just relieved about a patch before in my entire life. Like, we have seen so many new, like, interesting things come out that are, like, seem really, really strong. Like, it is just, oh my god, it's just incredible.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like Tetrapods in general have been sort of a do-it-all platform, and now that its speed is sort of checked, there's new niches popping up for different things to fill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, also, what I'm happy to see right now is just the sheer amount of weapon variety. Like, I'm seeing so many more weapons get used now. I'm not just seeing missile boats in the sky. I'm not just seeing quad shotgun or double Zimms everywhere. I'm seeing bazookas. I'm actually seeing some more melee, which I think is interesting, especially the plasma whip. Just it's so fun going into PvP now, just random matches, and not seeing the same thing 6 times in a row.
It's honestly so nice, because, like, the meta was pretty, it wasn't solved, but it was kind of close to it. You had, like, laser tank, you had rat, and you had dual Zimms. That was kind of like the three you had, and rat also, so laser tank being double LLB, double LCS, and rat being a really lightweight AC with, like, jailbreak arms or basho arms, and just as light as humanly possible, with the fastest assault boost speed ever, and you just ran away the entire game and shot missiles at you. That was the idea of a rat. So if you think of, like, a missile boat, imagine that, but on steroids. Like, built just super optimally, extremely, extremely fast. That's what a rat is. And then you had dual Zimms, which, you know, everyone knows what dual Zimms was. Dual Zimms was absolutely insane. But it was like the laser tank was the highest DPS bow in the game. And then you had dual Zimms, which could kick, Zim, kick, which was really, really strong with Tetra legs. Tetra leg kick was just absolutely insane. They had rat that kind of beat them both, but rat was really hard to use because if you messed up a few times, you were just dead.
Yeah, you get pretty hard stun punished if you, as a rat, got stuck with the way Zimmermans were, especially. It hurt a lot.
Mm. And Bud can definitely talk about more about, like, what the old meta was, and we can talk about what the new meta is.
Oh yeah, I think even for the rat and the Tetrapod dual Zim matchup on the old meta, the Tetrapod dual Zim actually still had a decent chance, you know? So in that matchup, it really was, like, there really wasn't too much reason to pick a rat, because on a lot of the maps, it's still not really favored towards the rat. But now that the new patch has rolled around and both Zimms and Tetrapods have got hit, like, trying to play a dual Zimm Tetrapod into a Rat is now an incredibly unfavorable matchup. And you know, that's more points to the Rat now.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you may be thinking to yourself, well, Apparitif got nerfed. Why is that not like hurt the Rat? Rats don't use Apparitif. They use the direct missile. Let me find the name of that real quick. So the direct missile that the Rats use is called the MLT-04. It's the hand missile launcher. That's what they use. They use double VPM and double MLT-04. They don't really use the Apparitif at all. So Rats honestly got nothing but a buff this patch.
Yeah, I guess the common perception was that Rats would use Apparatifs, but actually not really. And I don't play Rat too much, but like my understanding of it is simply that the other hand missiles, I think MLT-04, has better DPS. And also a very key and important thing is that it spends less time shooting. You could spin around, shoot for half a second and leave, instead of the Apparatifs where you gotta like sit there for a good bit.
Not to mention, if you see the weight here, the MLT-04 is 3,250 and the Apparitif is 4,600. So not only does it shoot faster, and it's just so much lighter. So why not just run it a Rat? Especially if you get caught once, you're dead. So speaking of the current meta, so laser tanks didn't really get hit at all. If anything, they were buffed because LCSs got an ammo increase, which is more of a PvE kind of thing. But like you can't even just run LCSs out of ammo anymore, if like when you're playing a Rat playstyle or just any other playstyle, because now they have so much more ammo. And basically, again, what a laser tank is, or a Larbster as some people call it, is double LRB, double LCS on either a quad or a tank. Sometimes a biped, but usually a quad or a tank, because then you can move while shooting the LCSs. And LCS is just one of the best weapons in the game, if not the best at this point. It just does a ton of damage. You can charge it up for even more damage. LCS is just absolutely insane, and we saw it do really, really well in my recent tournament. The emergency patch tournament that Blend said, I almost said Bowls, because again, y'all both have B names. I have two top tier players on this podcast so far, and they're Bowls and Blend. Like, come on, guys, like, come on. But anyway, so we had Larbster win the biped only tournament, and we had Larbster get second place at the emergency pass tournament because again, they got nerfed in their speed, which means they're worse against Rats. Honestly, that matchup seems really hard for Larbster now against Rat.
Definitely.
And so the fact that LCSs didn't really get touched is that I feel like they're going to be a really strong build this time again that is double LRB, double LCS. Use it so that way FromSoft nerfs it. So
yeah.
Join some lobbies, play some Tetrapod, play some Larbster, and hopefully we can get that addressed.
I feel
so
like as with
go ahead.
Okay, I feel like just like with Zimmer Tetra, the thing about things that come across as like overpowered is that it has a space that covers a lot of niches, as in like it sort of does a lot of different things best. Like if you want to look at specifically close range brawling, then technically lasers on like a tank would do better than lasers on a Tetra. But the thing about lasers on a Tetra is that it is capable of doing so many other things that invalidates the choice for it. Like, like, you know what I'm saying?
I very much do. So basically, what you're saying is that why would you go for like the higher defense of tanks when you're way slower and you don't have the amazing Tetrapod kick, with even after the nerf, it's still super duper strong because it still does the mini stagger. So yeah, you're getting less damage, you're getting less impact, but your opponent still is getting Tetrapod kicked into LCS, which is a true combo, by the way. You can Tetrapod kick into your back lasers, which is just... it doesn't matter how much they nerf Tetrapod kick, that's still going to be a true combo unless they really, really nerf it, like nerf the actual stun itself.
Well, yeah, what I'm more trying to say is that, like, say for example, pre-patch Zimmermans, right? For pre-patch Zimmermans, why would you ever use a Haldeman or a Sweet 16 or really any of the handguns? Or any of the energy shotguns when the pre-patch Zimmerman exists, because it basically does the same thing. It covers the same area, but like it does it better. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I think that's sort of a thing with like Tetra Zimmer is not that big of an issue anymore, because pre-patch Tetra Zimmer was an issue because of Tetra having good enough AB that for all of that if it's fighting a heavy opponent, And like, say for example, the heavy opponent is using some sort of mid-range option, like I don't know, like True Nose or some sort of rifle, the Tetra Zimmer would still just be able to AB into them. Yeah? But now with AB changes, it's like it's not that case anymore. But with lasers, a Tetra is still able to cover, how do I say this?
A wide area.
I guess you could say that.
Because like the range on the LCS and the range on the LRBs are really, really long, and because they do so much damage, so much impact, it's almost like, it's not really like a dual zimmer, but it's close to it. So the reason why Rat beats it out so badly is because it could stay out of that range where the LCSs like just aren't going to hit them.
So let me ask this: with the changes, or say pre-patch, post-patch, so is it just the fact that they gave the Zimmermans the hard nerf? The fact that they made Tetras have, less speed because they changed the speed velocity. Also, they gave them less AP. People are arguing they didn't nuke the AP enough, which there's a debate around that one. And also, they increased the stability across the board. For almost all the lightweight parts got huge increases, to where you're seeing a stability increase anywhere between like 100 to 150. I've seen some people get their frames got like plus 200, depending on what they used to run. So is the stability, you think, playing a big factor as far as you just can't get stunned as much as
very much
before?
So. Because the thing is, this game is still unless you're running a Rat build, the game is very much a stagger war. Like you are trying to get your opponent staggered as soon as possible to get that huge directed damage off. So anything that does really high impact is a huge deal. So with quads having, like, let's say, okay, so I have a lightweight build on my screen right now. It currently has 1513 attitude stability. If I put on the light Tetra legs, it goes up to 2142. And I only lose like 30 speed. Like, that's crazy, right? Like that's absolutely insane. And more than 600 jump for 30 speed. Like, why not run a Tetra? Because if I get stunned as a lightweight, I just die because I have such low defenses. And like my defense right now is, let's see, without the legs, because I'm running for meso legs here, I'm at about 1,000 for all my defenses. And if I put on light Tetra, I'm at 1,100 for my defenses. So not only do I get way more defenses, but I also get way more attitude stability. So it's like, why not just run a quad on everything? Because they also get access to the gigantic kick, which is super nice. Because I know that the kick not nerfed, but I believe the kick angle got nerfed, not the actual size of the hitbox. And if it did get touched the side of the hitbox, then it wasn't very much at all. Because we're still seeing kicks that are just absolutely absurd on the Tetra with good ping too.
I think it's like more of a cone. I think it was almost like a cone that they made smaller, if I'm correct.
Okay. So the issue is just like we're still seeing we're seeing tanks a lot less because tanks got just hilariously slow now with the Bone Mesa legs. Dude, it's so funny. Like seeing a tank assault boost towards you is like it's like watching a caterpillar. It's so funny, dude.
Let me go get some coffee. I'll be right back. You get to me eventually.
We've seen the Fortaleza legs a lot more with like tank builds because they actually got faster due to the patch because of how weight got addressed. But Fortaleza legs also got their defenses just gutted. Like the same lightweight build earlier, I put Fortaleza legs on it. I get like maybe like actually I get 20 more defense with the kinetic defense compared to Formeza legs. So Formeza legs are like the lightest legs in the entire game. So like my defenses go up just barely on Fortaleza legs, which is kind of funny. Yeah, the wheelchair legs, for those who know.
They're a true lightweight leg now.
They are? And my attitude stability only goes up by like 80. So yeah, so honestly, if you want to play a heavy tank in this game, you're gonna have to get very, very good at just not really even staying on top of your opponent. I feel like you have to run like a missile tank almost. A missile tank, or maybe like a lobster tank with like double LRB, double LCS, something like that. Because you just can't chase your opponent anymore. So you're just gonna hard lose to missiles, or like even laser drones. Laser drones will just fuck you up.
Yeah,
it's pretty hard.
I don't think you could go missile tank really, just because you're losing the advantage of being able to fire while moving with the tank. And I guess you could see like almost the return of the silent line jousting tanks. But the problem
is,
what does
that mean?
Oh,
a jousting tank.
So back in Silent Line, there was a variable or a type of tank where basically you were as big and bulky and heavy as possible. And back in Silent Line, There's only three ways you could fire while a back cannon while midair or airborne or overboosting. If you had op-eye optional part installed like Human Plus, if you're on the ground sliding as a quad or a tetrapod as they call it now, or if you were a tank could fire back cannons from any, no matter what they were. And so what they would do, you get a super bulky tank build, and you'd put like 2 grenade launchers on the back, or like a grenade launcher and a big laser cannon, and all you would literally do is like back off and then overboost in, or in this case assault boost in, fire cannons, assault boost out, wait for the reload, assault boost in, fire cannons, assault boost out, and this literally it was called a jousting tank. It's what you did.
That's awesome. Like honestly, that's freaking cool. I like that idea.
Except they were actually somewhat fast in Silent Line. I don't think that's so much the case in 6.
No, definitely not. The tanks have been, so if you're worried about like tanks still being just the forefront of the meta, or like, you know, at least like even like, I don't know, are they still tournament viable, do y'all think? Like tanks are just so slow now. Like how would you ever catch a rat on a tank?
I think there was a boat build on your tournament, right? Wasn't there a boat build?
Yeah, and the boat build lost horribly.
Yeah, it's even with the best assault boost, it's still slow.
Yeah, I think tanks would maybe work as like a very specific round-ending counterpick. Like if you're 2-2 to someone and it's your turn to counterpick, and like what they have going on is weak to a tank, then you can pull out the tank. Because if not, then you're just asking to be counterpicked when you win. If that makes sense.
Come into grade 86 with me with my tank.
Yeah, 2-2, time to pull out the tank.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, honestly, grid 86 might be the... So what the standard rule set is, at least for my tournaments, I'm not sure how you're going to do it, Cleric. How the standard map list works is you have grid 86, you have Xylem, you have Wall Sector, you have Jorgen, and you have Spaceport. Those are the 5 maps. You may be wondering why not Watchpoint. Watchpoint stinks. I'll talk about that sometime else. I don't know when I'm going to talk about that. Maybe I might do a map tier list at some point, because man, the amount of people who are like, why not Watchpoint? Well, you know, I'm not talking about it now because now I'm mad. It's like, why not Watchpoint? Why not Watchpoint? Watchpoint buffs so many, like, Watchpoint is such a polarizing map, because let's say you want to play melee, right? Like you want to play, you watch like Moods content, stuff like that. You want to play melee, you pick Watchpoint. Well, Watchpoint, the best build on Watchpoint by far is a skybox build, because you have no cover at all to deal with the skybox build. The weakness of a skybox build, and what skybox build is, it's a build that just like has like Gridwalker and Coral Gen, and just kind of like flies like with Gridwalker with the really good EN thrust and the EN thrust and like the upward thrust energy usage. It's just, I'm just gonna be as high as humanly possible. I'm gonna rain down missiles. I'm gonna rain down snipers. Like with new Harris buff, you definitely can use a skybox build with double Harris. So the idea is basically, you can't touch me because I'm way too high up. So Watchpoint Delta, you can't even like run for cover. You're just out in the open, ready to be shot like a fish in a barrel.
Yeah, permaflight's a problem on that map for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Because again, like you can't go, if you like, tell you on Wall Sector or on Xylem, I can go into a building and then you have to be like directly above me, or even you have to actually just move. But in Watchpoint, I can be in the very center of the map, rain that missiles on you, and just not care at all. If you're running a melee build, it is the most polarizing map in the entire game. So please stop asking me to run Watchpoint Delta on my map list. Oh my god. Yeah, so I think Grid 86 is probably the best tank map because it's very small, so it's hard to run away from them. And you can just sit in the middle and just fire lasers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is the smallest map, so it would just be the best for tanks.
Yeah, Grid 86 is just a better Watchpoint Delta because you actually have cover and you have an actual like hard roof to the map. Like I have a very really cool clip where I'm using Kikaku on WLT against a skybox build, and I just Kikaku boost like right up to them. Like I go from the very bottom of the map like onto the floor all the way to the top in one Santai generator. Like it's so freaking cool. So we have to put that in the video somewhere if you're watching this as a video instead of a podcast like a crazy person. 1, thank you, and 2, just put on the background. Like, come on.
It's
go
podcast.
for a walk. But yeah, so that's the map list, and that's what we usually run. I'm not sure what you run, Cleric. What do you run for your map list?
So the last tournament, we were trying some experimenting with map picking. So we started last time. Everyone starts on Bonadea Dunes, and then
gross,
loser,
but okay.
And then loser picks essentially next map. Because we've seen map bans kind of slow down the process a little bit, so we're doing a modified version of that in the next tournament. we actually switched the starting map to the upper 86 outer shell.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually trying to get that map used more often. We feel like it's been kind of unjustly defamed. I feel like that map
Cleric?
is much more balanced than I think people give it credit for.
All right, Cleric, convince me right now. Go for it.
All right. So you have some height, but not too much height. So your missile jets or missile boats or missile rats, we're going to call them, can't go infinitely high in the air like Watchpoint Delta or even Bonadea Dunes, for example. You do have some options for cover to play the cover game in 3 different corners of the map. You do have a hazard in the middle, which I'm a fan of hazards. I'm sorry, I just like hazards. I like the fact that if you don't manage your energy properly, you fall into a hole and die, that's on you. You actually have ground is displaced slightly, so for laser legs aren't like can't just wheelchair around infinitely, like super speeding fast. You actually have to go vertical periodically to keep yourself movement there. And the map isn't too big, but also isn't too small. So it's right there in the medium range. It's bigger than Grid 86, but it's actually technically smaller than Watchpoint Delta. Like Watchpoint Delta is actually a little bit bigger. So I think it encompasses a lot of things people look for balanced in mapping, while also not being like this horrible thing that you should avoid.
Because another thing against Watchpoint Delta is that Fortaleza legs are just absolutely insane on them, because there's no terrain.
Yeah,
there's no terrain you have to worry about. You can just go, because again, like going back to that lightweight boat I have with the Fromsoftware legs, again, just comparing it to Fromsoftware legs, my speed goes up to 384. And I don't even think that's accurate. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm faster than that, actually.
Probably.
I don't have a verdict on that map yet, because I think we gotta play on it a bit more to really be able to tell. But one interesting thing I want to point out is, like, the hazard you mentioned, there's a pretty big pit, like, to the side of the map. And I think that really favors Skybox and missile kiters, because they could stay around that pit and make you fly up to chase them, and like you have a much harder time chasing them and managing energy, because if you mess that up, you fall and die.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue. I mean, we saw so Winnower, I think it was Winnower, on the day the patch shop, they did like a 13-hour stream or something like that, and Grid 12 was picked as a joke against a tank as a quad. Winnower was a quad, and they had dual laser drones, and all they did was fire the laser drones at the tank and just hide underneath the map the entire time. Like they did not have to approach them whatsoever. And the laser tank couldn't do anything about it, because like, what are you gonna do as a tank? You're gonna like go underneath Grid 12 and just die to the pit? So they're just absolutely screwed. So I wonder if you could do the exact same strategy on Upper Grid 86. We have to try that out, see if that's even possible, because that would be not fun to watch and definitely not fun to play against.
There is a single platform in the middle that you can typically land on that's slightly lower, but you're wide open to shots from about 80% of the map. Like you are covered where you're at.
Okay, that's good to know. But dude, Grid 12, what a terrible map. Like, I can't believe that's in the game. Like, dude, the fact that you can just go underneath it and just, like, we're talking about Skybox build a lot right now. The reason why Skybox builds work so well is that they have infinite flight. So when you have a stage where I can just go underneath it and just chill there the entire round, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if you can do that in 3s. So we're like in 3v3s, you just like, you and your buddies just go hide underneath the map the entire time.
You want to have
you
fun?
Get one kill and then just chill.
You want to have fun? Go Grid 12, 3v3, nothing but blades.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It's
madness. You're in a very small area.
It's madness.
That sounds cool as hell.
But no.
Dude, speaking of nothing but blades, I'm still mad we don't have dual melee.
I don't mind like the more extreme maps much at all, because I think they would require completely different like meta philosophies to play on. And I think they could be fun. Yeah. But it's just like a slightly different game at that point.
I could see that, but at the same time, like, I want to choose maps that are good for every single build. Like, you mentioned Fromsoftware legs on Upper Grid 86, right?
Fortaleza. Yeah, the wheelchair legs.
Yeah, the Fortaleza. Sorry about that. That's why I wanted to talk about. So Fortaleza, I feel like would suck really badly on that map.
Oh, they do
really badly.
It's rough for them.
So it's like, let's say I'm playing Fortaleza legs and we're doing my system where you can ban a map whenever you win. I win. I'm on a wheelchair build. I have to ban that map or I auto lose, because good lord, I just cannot go that way. It is not wheelchair accessible. It is not ADA approved. I cannot get over there. It is just I feel like I'd be a sitting duck on that map, right? Like you could just not approach me. Could just chill.
I ran about.
But like a counter argument for that idea, right, is that as of right now, the map choices sometimes feel kind of inconsequential. Like we could be on Xylem, we could be on Wall, doesn't really make a difference to me, you know? Like maybe if we play a tournament with exclusively extreme maps, and we could, like, this is going into a little bit different, a different topic, but like, if we, you know how right now, if someone loses, they get to counterpick their build?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What if instead of that, like the one who gets to change the build is decided by a coin flip, but the loser gets to counterpick map? And we only have a list of very extreme maps that favor matchups one way or another. Could be something interesting to try.
See, I have an issue with coin flips. I feel like coin flips are the only way to really decide who gets to ban the map first, or talk about choose a map, whatever you want to do it with. But coin flip to determine who gets to change their build, that seems like way too drastic, because like builds are so important in this game. Like rounds can be won in the garage, like alone.
Yes.
So I feel like that's
kind
an
of
issue.
finish.
But Cleric, you're talking about Upper Grid 86.
Yeah. So essentially, everyone's going to start that map. Loser's going to pick next maps, like previous tournament. But when you sign up for the tournament, you're going to pick, all maps are available and viable to use. But when you sign up, you pick 2 maps you never want to play on, and guess what? You never have to play on those maps. You basically pre-ban 2 maps you never want to see, and those 2 maps you will never see during the tournament.
That's interesting. But speaking of okay, so we talked about how like speed changes, stuff like that. I want to get back to the actual patch itself, because this patch, again, it's so
a breath of fresh air.
Before the patch, it's so much. It is probably the best balance patch we've ever had for an Armored Core game, or not an Armored Core game, a Fromsoft game, just in general. I think this is the best patch we've ever had. So they've brought down. It feels like Fromsoft's actually watching for the most part. Like, we didn't see an LCS nerf, which was very strange, but we saw a nerf to basically everything that was being even slightly problematic, which was really, really cool. Like, even stuff like Core Missile, which you never see in tournament, but like you'd see like in just pubs and stuff like that, just dominate. Like when it came to more casual players, like that even got a nerf, which is really cool. Like, again, you never see Core Missile at all in like a finals of a tournament, besides like the week 1 tournament that happened a while ago. You never saw it, and now it's even been nerfed for 3v3s and just for fun pub games. It's like every single thing that got addressed was problematic, and even for Mesolegs, like we talk about a lot for Mesolegs, they didn't get a buff, and guess what? Rats used for Mesolegs. Yep. Like, isn't that cool? Like they specifically did not ban rats. They even nerfed jailbreak arms. If you're wondering why they nerfed jailbreak arms, that's why. Because jailbreak arms were used by rats because they're the lightest arms in the game.
So,
like, isn't that so cool? Like that's so sick to me.
Yeah, I'm not exactly surprised how directly adjusted this patch is. So at the July event, when people from Armored Core Legacy, the people I'm affiliated with, got to go to the early preview event, we got to interview Yamamura-san and Ogura-san and ask them questions. And
that's cool.
And when we asked them questions, we asked them what their approach to part balancing and like game balance is going to be. They said they built into the game where they're going to be actually tracking usage data and win data. And so they're going to be...
Oh, shoot, really?
Yes.
That's the thing they have?
Yes. So the parts that are being used the most, and the parts that are not seeing as much use, and the parts that are being used that are having consistent win rates, and they actually said they're going to be looking at things to make adjustments based on what they see from the data.
That's so cool.
Yep.
They actually, I didn't know that. Okay, so we talked about on the first episode even, we wonder if they have any sort of like usage rate or anything like that to be able to like really see what parts are being used and what parts aren't. Dude, the fact that they actually have that gives me so much hope. That is so freaking cool. Oh my god, that's awesome. And hey, speaking of things that weren't used very often, let's talk about bazookas.
Oh,
because dude, bazookas are like, bazookas are okay. I like bazookas. I'm glad they're good now. But the fact that they are not defender side netcode makes me want to throw my computer in the garbage, because I will be playing a lightweight build. Lightweight builds, really, really fun, super duper fun. I hear a beep beep beep, I dodge out of the way, and like I'm in the air, right? So I'm in the air, so there's no like splash or anything like that. Like I'm right up, I'm not close enough, I'm not far away enough that the explosion's gonna hit me. Like after it travels for a bit and then explodes on the grenade launchers. But I just dodged the actual projectile itself, and I still take a massive amount of stagger. It's like, what the heck, dude? Like, It's like we need those to be defender side netcode real badly, because when it comes to something that does a ton of stagger at once, it has to be defender side. Like, it just has to be. Or lightweight builds are just not going to work in this game, because like I can be the best like dodger, I can be the best movement player in the world right now. Doesn't matter. You have 300 ping to me. I'm gonna get hit anyway.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, this is just the FromSoft video game thing where you gotta play based on what you infer is happening instead of what you actually see happening.
Well, that's the thing. I would agree with you if this was a different game, but they have defender side netcode already. Like, we have the ability to... we actually, a researcher in my Discord looked into it. It's just a value that you can change at whim. It's like 1 is attacker side, and like 2 is defender side, I think, is how it works. Remember, I think it's 1 is attacker and 3 is defender, and we're not sure what 2 is yet, like in the game's code. But they could just straight up just go to bazookas and just change that value to 3, and then boom, we have defender side bazookas. Like, it's just a thing they can do. Like, they could do that and release the patch tomorrow. Well, they can't release it tomorrow because like you have to go through like, you know, Sony and Microsoft, whatever. But they could do that like pretty easily. As far as I know, like I don't think that would mess anything up as far as we understand what the game's code is like.
Well, yeah, but then on the attacker side, you'll have a situation where you shoot someone point blank in the face with a bazooka, and then it does no damage because they dodge 2 seconds later, right? So it's like hard to say.
Yeah, but I feel like I know there's issues with it, but when you're talking about a weapon that can do so much stagger damage, like a double earshot is a good example here. If I'm playing against lightweight and I have double earshot and I shoot them and on their screen they're like a million miles away from it, and on my screen they're right there and they get staggered, that sucks real bad. Like, that sucks so bad, because I've never had a connection so bad where I shoot somebody point blank with like a Curtis or a Harris, which those are attacker side netcode, and it just does not connect at all. Like, that's just never happened before, so I don't feel like that wouldn't happen very often with bazookas. But speaking of bazookas, let's talk about netcode. Let's talk about like how good they are now. Like, we saw a quadzooka, a 4-zooka quad. Quadzooka Tetra, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, it was a Tetra legs with 4 bazookas. They actually did really well in the tournament. I think it was Stick, right, who decided to run that. Let me find the launch page real quick. I think they got like what, like 5th, 6th, something like that. You see?
Yeah, it's pretty strong. I'm seeing it a fair bit online in random matches and stuff. We were trying it a little bit in our group too. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. It seems. Oh, they got 5th. Yeah, they got 5th. That was right. Look at that. Good memory. Hell yeah. Like, Tiki was running a like 4 bazooka build on a quad, and they did really well against like old meta. Like, I'm talking about like, you know, Larbster. I'm talking about like dual, like, I don't think we saw dual Zimm. So like, they did really well against Larbster, which like was like the build in the previous patch. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, quadzooka seems so strong right now.
Yeah, and people talk about
definitely.
the new Zimmers. The new Zimmers are definitely, I think, quad or quadruple bazookas. That's kind of the replacement for the old quad shotgun, I think, at this point. They do so much stagger, and the projectile speed and the reload increase. It's one thing to increase their projectile speed. The fact that they decrease the reload time on them all too is nutty.
Oh my god!
It's like
so. So what I consider to be like the new Zimmerman is double earshot, because double earshot, again, it is that attacker side netcode, meaning that you can just get instant, because it instantly stuns like almost any build, right? Like, unless you're building for like pure attitude stability, it's just going to instantly stun you. Because how much does it do? Let me check. Okay, how much impact does it do in earshot? So 1 earshot does... Oh no! It does 1,455 impact.
Yep.
So 2 of those is almost 3,000 impact. Like, I don't think there's a single build in the game that can get that much attitude recovery. So we talk about like dual Zimms, like that instantly stunned most bipeds and most lightweights in the previous patch, but now with double earshot, you can instantly stun pretty much any build. I think actually any build, unless they have like a shield or something. So I think those are the new Iserman. I think those will be the new like most hated thing to go up against. Which not like new Zimm as in like as in like that's the new meta threat is double earshot, because I don't think that's even gonna happen, because they were actually running 4 hand missiles. TQ was in the emergency patch tournament, but I think you're gonna start getting kicked out of lobbies if you have double earshot in the future. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was singing that people heard me in my other live streams on YouTube or like YouTube videos. I've had a deep affection for the earshot from the very beginning, even over the songbirds, and I just feel like I'm getting my just due at this point, because I've always thought they were better than the songbirds because I thought they had more versatility. I will admit they are a little too strong with the reload change just because the way netcode does work now. But I sent you a picture. Every time
I saw it.
Every time someone says something about the earshot, I just put that in Discord just to have a joke. Every single time.
They bring forth the holy hand grenade. Yeah, I'll have to pop that in somewhere. but again, I feel like double earshot would be completely fine if they just changed how the netcode worked. Like just straight up. Like again, it's just a value change as far as we can tell. So if double earshot was defender side, you get hit by double earshot, you know that you fucked up. You know that you did a whoopsie. But in the current patch, I could dodge double earshot perfectly and still get staggered. And like, damn, that sucks.
I think are you in the air though, when that happens
die.
though? Just out of curiosity, like, are you up?
Yes.
That's when it's happening, not when you're on the ground.
Yes, exactly, and that is exactly when it's happening. That's why I talked about earlier. Where like I am close enough to not get hit by the because it's a grenade cannon, so it's gonna explode after a while because of new changes. Which by the way, that change is freaking awesome. Yeah, that change is so freaking cool.
Yeah, the dizzies
they
are
just
fun.
now explode after a bit. Yeah, dizzies are mega fun now. But like I'm not far away enough where that's happening. But also I'm not close enough where it's just like a point blank shot. Like I am like in that sweet spot range, so I can hit him with something like a Curtis or something like a laser pistol, and then I dodge to the left when I hear the beep beep beep, and I just immediately get staggered, even though the shot went wide on my screen. It's like, man, that sucks, because now I'm going to take 1 billion damage because I'm a lightweight. It's come to the point where I've started running Pulse Buckler on like every single build.
I don't know.
Because if I hear the beep beep beep, I can just pop Pulse Buckler, and then hopefully, even if it does hit me, because of the netcode, I'm fine.
I mean, I agree. Except, I ask you, Blend, since you do a lot more of the competitive side. Striker and I both probably do a little more of the, what should we say, organizational side. Though we do play some too. Well, actually, probably more than I probably should. Do you think do you think the earshots are the bigger problem, or do you think the bazookas, with the same netcode issue, more or less, are probably the bigger potentially meta or competitive netcode issue?
I'll start by talking about the netcode first, yeah. I think attacker side netcode definitely makes these weapons, the weapons with telegraphs, a lot stronger. If you switch it to defender, you're gonna see all of these weapons become significantly weaker. So that's something to think about, I think. And about the earshot specifically, I don't know, I haven't used them yet, but I feel like they might not be like that good, because if you look at the Morleys, right, that does 1,450 impact. If you look at the Songbirds, that's like 1,200. But both of them have significantly faster reloads than the earshot.
That's actually a good point.
So I don't think like on paper they don't seem that.
The earshots
don't seem that good, but I haven't used them yet.
Morleys are heavier than the earshot. But yeah, I can say, actually, no, that's a pretty good argument. That Morley is just like maybe even better because you also have that spread. So if let's say you miss it just barely, you can still you can still get some usage out of your gun, which is nice. Because we saw double Morley do really well in the biped only tournament that I ran a little while back. Basically, it was because dual Zimms were banned that you couldn't run Zimm with another shotgun. You saw double Haldeman a lot more. And we got to talk about Haldeman. Haldeman has seen such a glow up. Despite the fact that it got nerfed, like Haldeman is like an extremely good gun now, because it is just like it's just better DPS than Zimm now, which is crazy.
I don't know.
I feel like DPS, but I feel like more stagger per second.
In the bipeds, the Morley really carried me because Haldeman's was like throwing wet tissues at someone. That's what it felt like.
Well, compared to the Zimmerman, sure.
Well, yeah, true. But yeah, we're seeing a lot more double Haldeman, which is kind of cool, because like some people were confused, like, why nerf Haldeman? Why nerf Haldeman? There's a reason why they nerfed Haldeman. I'll tell you what. Like, there is a very strong reason why they nerfed Haldeman, because double Haldeman was very, very strong. Like, it wasn't as good as dual Zimms, because obviously nothing was, but besides Larbsters like that. But dual Haldeman saw a lot of good usage because it was just really strong. Like assault boost giving that kinetic impact buff. Like you could assault boost double Haldeman. You could kick, and then you could double Haldeman, and you'd have your opponent staggered. Then you could kick, then you could Haldeman again. It's like that was basically the entirety of the double shotgun playstyle. Was just shotgun, kick, shotgun.
And now you have bazooka, kick, bazooka.
Yeah.
I think Haldemans are just like a mid-ish weapon. right now, because I think two of the biggest things that really like keep the Haldemans from not coming close to Zimmermans is number one, range, which is really important. Haldeman drops a significant amount of range from Zimmermans, and that just makes its use and like its effective DPS a lot worse. Because in the middle of fighting, you will often find yourself just, oh, look, apparently I'm now at like 150 meters, right? And that's just a straight up huge DPS loss for Haldemans. And also, like, DPS aside, the time between each shot is also important. Because on Zimmerman, you don't waste anything. You shoot, you kick, and then you shoot again. But on Haldemans, you reload faster than you can kick. So your weapons are already reloading, but you're still kicking. So you're actually losing a lot of effective DPS when you shoot, kick, shoot with Haldemans.
That's an interesting point, actually. Because I'm looking at the effective ranges now. Haldeman is 169, and Zimmermans are 184. So they do have only slightly more range, but because the damage is so much higher on Zimmerman, you're actually having a bit more than that, it feels like, because you can get... Because I believe how effective range works, it's a decrease of the base weapon damage, correct?
No, like those stats on that screen might as well just be made up. Go into the
really?
assembly. Yeah, go into assembly screen and test, and you'll see it's like a huge difference in effective range.
Alright, I'm gonna try this out. I'm not gonna show it on screen, but I'm just gonna see for myself, because that's a lot of editing work, and I am tired.
He wants to see it.
All right. But yeah, so while I'm doing this real quick, we can talk about a bit more about like heavyweight nerfs. Well, actually, you know what? I'm just gonna do it real quick. So I'm at 150 range on the Zimmerman. Let's see what happens. 210 on Zimmerman and 128 on Haldeman. Then we get to 100 meters, which is about where we're gonna be on a quad shotgun build. 280 on Zim and 128 on Haldeman. Actually, yeah, like, huh. And if you get close, you get 512 and 700 on Haldeman and Zim, respectively. So honestly, I can see what you mean. Like the direct hit. Huh. That was actually about the exact same. Weird. Yeah, actually, Haldeman's doing better at 147. What? This is weird. Okay, that's wacky. I guess maybe because I was like sideways to the trainer AC. Yeah, weird. So actually, at like so let's see, at 98 meters, Haldeman is hitting for 448 and Zim's hitting for 420 at 98 meters.
Wait, hold on. Are you sure the game aren't like adding those two numbers together?
I am, yes.
560, 384, 420, huh?
Yeah, you see what I mean? Like that's
Wait,
that's
no,
weird,
no.
huh?
No. I shoot the Zimmer, I shoot the Halda, and it, huh?
This game's so whack, dude.
Huh?
Anyway, I'm gonna have to just cut all that out. But good lord, yeah, the life of being a podcast host, huh? Yeah, but anyway, I think Haldeman and Zimmerman are. I think you can definitely like they're definitely more side grades than they are anything at the moment. I don't think that Zimmermans are just straight up better or Haldeman's are just straight up better at the moment. Because I mean, as you said, that was a really good argument that you had though with the kick, like you just losing DPS if you're running Haldeman because like your Zim's already up, like your Haldeman's already up. Why are you still kicking? Like you want to do the thing. But I think at the moment, just like if you're playing like a more assault boost based playstyle, like a more hit and run playstyle, I think Haldeman's are definitely better because we saw lightweight in the first few rounds of the emergency patch tournament. We saw a quad shotgun lightweight dual Haldeman dual Sweet 16 actually beat a Larbster, like just straight up. Like I think it was a Larbster. I can't remember what it was. It was some kind of quad. Basically, they would assault boost past them, shoot the double Haldeman, shoot the double Sweet 16 really fast, and then immediately like just go away, like just leave. Like that was the whole thing. It was like almost like a rat build, but they got really close to you. But they're just running like I think it was like 500, like 540 assault boost speed or something like that, which was just insanity.
Do we call it a jousting rat?
Basically, yeah. It really felt like a jousting rat. Like that's a perfect example, or a perfect thing to say. Like that was absolutely insane. Like, I'm trying to recreate it here. It was like Weasel booster and like a really light frame. Yeah, you're seeing like 168 assault boost speed on Weasel on a lightweight build with double Haldeman double Sweet 16. Like, it was really, really cool to see, like, honestly. Oh my god, it's actually really fun to play. I'm gonna have to mess around with this for a video or something. This is cool as hell.
Go Zoom.
Like, it's just such a... Dude, this patch is so cool. Like, there's so much more counterplay options for lightweight builds than there were in the past. Just because you're still paper thin, but you're at least fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fast actually matters now. Like, that's... Before, it was better off going heavy, just if you could, as a general rule. But now, yeah, lightweight's definitely... lightweight made up a lot of space on this patch as a whole. I've seen probably a 500% increase in lightweights online. Like, so many more. It's crazy.
That's the thing. Lightweights are just incredibly fun to play as well. Like, heavyweights are... The game felt kind of DPS racy before with just heavyweight versus heavyweight. Because you can't really dodge much. It's mostly just like how good are your kicks, how good are your... how good is like your weapon cooldown management, stuff like that. But now it is, I'm gonna check, we can get into like skill expression and stuff like that, but now with like lightweights being a lot better, you can see more lightweight versus heavyweight, which I think is like I think it's a very much more like skill expressive kind of game, is when you have like two different kind of builds, like two different speed builds. I think it's really, really cool. So Blaine, I know you wanted to talk about, I know you're probably like deep in the lab right now checking out this Haldeman vs Zimm thing, but you want to talk a bit about skill expression, like with this game?
Oh yeah, I think there's like a, how do I say, a perception of what people want the skill expression to be, like, because as of right now, there's still a very specific way to play a lightweight into a heavyweight. Yeah, right. As much as possible, you run away and kite, but people do want it to be a case where a lightweight can stand and brawl with something much heavier. But as of right now, I think it also is due to the attacker side netcode, but as of right now, dodge is just not valuable enough to make up for the difference in effective HP and stagger, I think.
Yeah, someone actually had a really good idea about how to fix that, is that give quick boost the same damage reduction that assault boost had. I thought that was a really cool idea. Because the thing that you have in common with a lot of heavyweight builds, that the quick boost reload time is really, really slow. So that would be like a straight up just buff to like just straight up like super buff to lightweights, which would be really cool, especially like Alula and Gills. Like Gills especially, I think it's gonna get a lot more play, because Gills right now is just not super strong. But like, imagine Gills with like a 30% buff to your impact, like attack stability, and your like that. There's hard to say words, you know that. So like you're just buff to like your defenses, like while you're quick boosting. They'd be so cool. It'd be like almost like the similar to a Dark Souls dodge, but without iframes, because iframes on dodge would be fucking atrocious in this game. I have some people like ask for that. That's a terrible idea. Like I could make like a 5-page essay on why it's a horrible idea.
That is a crime against Armored Core. Don't do that. That sounds horrendous to have in this game.
Yeah, but something like a 30% impact reduction and maybe just like a smidge of damage reduction might be a step in the right direction. It'd
be really, really cool, honestly. Like, I would love to see that, because then again, like, let's say there's a bazooka coming at me. Like, again, we're talking about, a lot about bazookas and netcode this podcast. So bazooka's coming at me. I quick dodge to get away from it. It still hits because of netcode, but that's fine, because I'm taking 30% less, which is kind of nice, honestly. Like, because we're talking about double earshot. Now that's only 2,000 stability damage if I dodge correctly instead of 3,000. Which, like, I'm still getting staggered as a lightweight, but, if I'm on, like, a midweight or even a heavyweight build or even, like, a Tetra, I'm not staggered just instantly, which is kind of nice, honestly.
That'd be a decent way of balancing it out. So, let me ask you a question, Glenn. Actually, you choose Striker, why not? So, let me pose the question that I'm seeing posed in places. Ready? This might get spicy. Does it take skill, in your opinions, to run a heavyweight?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Because if not, then we would not see the same top performers as we do normally.
Oh.
Like Blend's a perfect example. They've got first and third every single tournament, and guess what's been meta this entire time? Heavyweights.
Okay.
So if it took no skill, then Blend would see a lot. Like, it would basically just be entering, like entering a fucking casino, entering a tournament. If it took no skill for this game, if there was no skill expression, Blend would not see the consistency that they've seen.
You said, "Oh boy, Blend." Why?
Well, because it's a topic that is what it is. But also, I think it's a skill expression that's unexplored for a lot of people. Because I think when they think skill expression, they think like lightweights and dodging around a lot, right? But when it comes to like two heavyweights, and especially I've experimented a lot with like straight up just mirror matches, the same thing fighting each other. Like I do that a lot with like Kine and like other people, where it's just either Lobster versus Lobster or like pre-patch Zimmer Tetra versus Zimmer Tetra. And there's a lot going on when it comes to managing all of your things perfectly. Like in a mirror match situation like that, you gotta get everything down perfect. Because any slight imperfection in the way that you do things would mean that you're like if your opponent does things slightly better, then they just win, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I think it's skill expression that is quite unexplored by a lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of. We agree. I like this. No.
Imagine if I said no like that. That'd be an insane thing to say. I feel like it's like that because like that goes against the whole idea of having tournaments and stuff like that. Is that if there's no skill expression in the game, then like. Or skill expression running heavyweights, and like, what's the point of playing the game?
Well, as Glenn mentioned, so a lot of people think skill expression is basically been the lightweights, the mobile dodging, the perma-flight setups and things like that nature. Obviously, those take skill. I would never take away from those things. Duh. But at the same time, yeah, that's been an attitude that has existed since the tournament scene back in the AZ3 era. Like it's been there. Essentially, if you weren't running an uber lightweight with dual rifles and flying around in the air. If you were running like a heavy biped, which guilty since the beginning, heavy biped's been my favorite.
Go for it.
Dude. They said like, well, there wasn't much to you with that thing. You're just absorbing shots versus what I'm doing, and I'm having to do all this work. And just like, okay, like I had to get really good. There's something in the Armored Core 3, especially up through the last Raven era, called twitch dodging. So twitch dodging essentially is you pre-twitch what you think someone's cannon shot is going to be, or try to time it in order to show, basically to throw the tracking off on the shot, which is something.
So real quick, explain what twitching is. Like, what is Twitch? Like, you said you pre-twitch. Like, what is that? What does that mean?
All right.
Exactly?
So, for example, if you saw a tetrapod, or in this case a quad, back then, like all of a sudden starts sliding on the ground and they have their grenade out, like they're holding it, like okay, they're about to do a grenade shot. What you often would do is you change from like either circle strafing or bunny hopping, and you kind of you basically rotate your left, your strafe left, strafe right, and it's almost like a shimmy in like fighting games, where you kind of shimmy back and forth a little bit in order to basically knock the tracking off of the shot. Because if you just kind of maintain your momentum or just did straight bunny hopping, they can kind of time the shot and hit you with a grenade launcher. Whereas if you were shimmying or twitch dodging, it would actually make the shot go wild. And then you could kind of capitalize on it and counteroffensive at that point.
Huh, that's really cool. So it's almost like you're trying to throw off the FCS as much as possible before the shot actually hits
Correct.
you.
And so that was something that I had to get very good at as a heavy, or else I just would eat every big cannon shot known to man because I was slow. So there's not as much of that kind of skill expression per se in the game. I think that's why you see a lot of talk of like heavies don't take skill. And I'm like, yeah, I think Blend put it the best. It's not very heavily explored by a lot of people who have interest in the game, who have had interest in the game, especially for a long time. And I think that's a great way of putting it. I think people just need to give the game a little more room. It has only been out for, a month and a half. Like there is definitely more things to be explored in this game.
No, yeah, throwing off FCS is definitely like the philosophy behind dodging in AC6 as well. Because for an attacker side like hit registration game, you can't really like reactionarily dodge anything. So the way like I see dodging as well is, if I think he's about to fire, I will dodge preemptively on my side to throw off his FCS, and that's the way I approach dodging.
I do the exact same thing.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, hard reads are just known for known in fighting games for a long time. Just like, okay, I know you're going to do this thing, so I'm going to preemptively do something to try to avoid it, or do something to try to stifle that. Which is really like I hit something really cool today on a really good player named Risa, where I was almost moving my out to recover the chicken, and then I knew they were around the corner, so I swapped to manual aim and shot my ear shot off and hit them. Like that's a definition of like a try and true, just like hard read. Like I knew you're going to come from this direction, so I'm going to hit you with with the earshot just on prediction almost. Like I didn't see them at all. I just knew they were going to be coming that way, so I fired it already, which is really cool. Like I love doing stuff like that. Like it's very that is skill expression in this game. 1000% is prediction. Is being very prediction reliant and getting those hard reads off. Because I ended up winning. I believe I ended up winning that game because of that shot too.
And that's a great feeling when it happens.
Very much so. This game is definitely not solved yet. I'm very, especially after this new patch. Like there's so much stuff that you could do now. Like it's just like, especially during that emergency patch tournament. Like again, I can't believe we saw 2 lightweight builds. Like not even just rat builds, but like just pure lightweight sniping builds in top 8. Like that's crazy, right? Like we would never have seen that before. Like we saw a double Harris build. A double Harris lightweight build do well in a tournament. Like that's insanity to me.
Yeah, laser rifles are strong now. People need to be using them if they're not already. There's some definite build potential around those things.
It's so cool. It's just so gosh darn cool. Speaking of lightweight buffs, let's talk about terminal armor for a moment. Because I've seen in a few of my comments talking about like how like why they buff terminal armor, or like terminal armor feels like unbreakable now. Like it feels just unfair or something like that. Like terminal armor gives you 2,000 resilience. If you didn't know, by the way, or 20,000.
Yeah,
sorry,
20K
compared to 3,300 on pulse armor. Like that is so much more. That is so much more armor, or pulse armor.
I mean,
basically.
hasn't it always been 20?
Yeah.
Yes,
1,000?
but it also used to be like what,
It was 2 seconds,
3
before.
seconds, something like
Yeah,
that.
now it's 5.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's more
I
than
see.
double the time to take advantage of that armor. Like I've actually been running terminal armor a lot on my lightweights builds because if you're running a lightweight, you have to have a lot of really good burst damage, and that's perfect for terminal armor. Because like let's say I get hit by a quad shotgun or like a laser dagger or something like that. Let's say I get hit by dual Zimms, like the perfect example, and they're right next to me, and terminal armor pops. It pops instantly, and I can immediately be on their ass and just like doing a ton of damage because I don't have to care about dodging anymore. All I have to care about is being right up next to you.
Yep.
And then I can take somebody from like 60% HP to like 0 super quickly. Like I've done this quite a few times. I had a video talking about like if lightweights are good or not, where I did this exact same thing. Like I would terminal armor get popped, and I immediately chase them down with dual Vientos, get the stagger, get the trainer off, shoot more Vientos, and they just die. They're gone. Good night.
Yeah.
It is such a good feeling, and it's such a huge buff to lightweights because you could run pulse armor as a lightweight, but what would happen is you would get hit a lot, you'd pop pulse armor, and they just run away from you, and you weren't like way faster than the heavy like you are now, so you weren't really able to get to catch them, and all of a sudden your expansion's gone. So all lightweights basically just ran terminal armor, because if you're running a lightweight, you're probably running something like laser dagger or pow bunker or just something, and if someone pops pulse armor while you're doing a laser dagger combo, you can just assault armor and break them out of it. So you didn't really see a lot of defensive expansions from lightweights unless there's something like a lightweight sniper, which before this patch wasn't super great, but now it's really good, which is awesome. So terminal armor buff, I think, was extremely justified and really, really good. Like I think it's legitimately, I think pulse protection is the only bad one now. Like, it used to just be a choice between pulse and assault armor, but now it's an actual, like, I think it's even between the 3, or at least like slightly pulse armor favored, especially for heavyweights. But now I feel more than ever that I've got multiple options for my expansion slot, and that's fucking awesome to me.
Yeah.
Pulse protection, I think, needs like, I don't know, 2 charges maybe. I don't know how you would make this thing good, like legitimately. I think it's just this thing. Maybe make the you know what'd be cool about for pulse protection? What if it was infinite? Like it didn't have an actual duration on it, and there was just a bubble now on the fucking field that people could use. You just make your own cover.
Hey,
That'd be
Watchpoint
funny.
Delta might
It'd
get
be so
played.
fun.
That'd be funny.
There you go.
Give
Yeah.
it like 1,000 duration.
Oh my god, dude, 1,000 duration? That'd be so fun. Could you imagine? Like, you just bump the resilience up to be like as resilient as like assault armor, maybe even more so, and you just make it like infinite. So you just have like a bubble you can play around. Because that's the only reason I would see people using pulse protection to use it, because you can't shoot out of it, I believe, right? Like you can only like use that as like a wall.
Yeah, correct.
Let me test that out right now.
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
You can't shoot out of it. Look, you can't.
Once ever used
You can
it.
actually shoot out of it. That's
Yeah,
neat.
you can't shoot out of it. You can't shoot
So-
into it.
Yeah, so you use it as like a sniper bunker or something like that, or maybe like a missile pod. Like you could run this on a tank. That'd actually be so sick. That'd actually be so fucking cool. You run as like on like a tank build, and you just like sit in your bubble and just like chill, wait for your opponent to get to you. That'd be so fun. Like it'd be super good against like rats and stuff like that, because it's like, hey, now you have to approach me because I have pulse protection. Because if you think about it, you're also giving up the ability to reset your stagger bar or the ability to do a huge comeback with terminal, or just obliterate your opponent with assault armor. So like, I feel like that would make it even almost between all 4 of them.
Yeah, I would.
God, that'd be so cool. I want that now, like really badly. That'd be so awesome.
Like, going back to terminal armor, right? I haven't played too much of it, but here's how it works. Here's how it seems like it'll work in my head. Because for pulse armor, unless you want to sit there and wait for 10 seconds, you gotta contribute to like the destruction of the pulse armor. You gotta shoot at it, right? But with 20k on the terminal armor, it doesn't really matter if you do shoot at it. So for the pulse armor, you gotta sit there and shoot at it. But for the terminal armor, you can play pure defense for 5 seconds.
Which is why I think it's only going to be on lightweights, because I can actually keep up to you, if that's the case.
No, I'm just saying, like, it offers different value, if that makes sense, and has different matchups into things. Because, like, say for example, I'm playing dual Mortleys, right? I can see your startup for pulse armor, click my dual Mortleys, and by the time your pulse armor is up, it is again instantly gone, because I just Mortley your pulse armor. Yeah.
Yeah. But
for the terminal armor, I can't do that. I gotta play defensively for 5 seconds till your terminal armor disappears. So I think like it's a little too early to say that it's too strong or too weak. Just that it's going to be different from pulse armor, which I think is a good thing. More unique things.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what at the end of the day, that's what I want. Just more build variety, and I feel like we're getting it now. Like I feel like now that we have 3 different things to choose from when it comes to our expansion, I feel like we're going to see a lot more unique builds, which is really cool. Like honestly, I know we criticize the game a lot. I know we talk about how like we wish this was that way, we wish that was this way, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, we're so passionate about this game because we absolutely freaking love it. Like this game is so freaking cool, and we can actually like the lightweights feel so viable now. Like they don't feel super great. I don't think a lightweight melee build is gonna make like top 8 of a tournament anytime soon. But the fact that you can actually run a lightweight build and not feel like you're gimping yourself really hard is so cool to me. Like unless you're like, again, pure rat.
Yeah, I think with terminal armor changes, you will see it more often for sure. I agree. It's probably the most viable on lightweight specifically because you can rush down once you get the terminal armor popped. I think also with the advent of lightweights being more prevalent and being more of an option now in the game, it actually diminishes the power of assault armor a little bit, because since you're going to be the one trying to catch up to them, assault armor is not going to be as valuable. Because right now with the previous rushdown meta, assault armor was great. Well, if you're going across more people who are playing more of the kiting builds, your assault armor is not necessarily useless, but it's not going to be nearly as effective as it was before. And so that actually may bump up pulse armor. It might actually bump it up a little bit in the tier list as a whole, based on where it was before.
Well, the issue with assault armor in pre-meta is that, so we talked about how quads have a ton of attitude stability, right? Because I talked about how I could take my lightweight here and put just the light quad legs on it and have like over 2,000 stability. Assault armor only does 2,000 impact. Yep. So if you pop pulse armor and I try to punch you with assault armor and you're running a heavy quad build, you just kind of get tickled a little bit, which is like kind of a huge issue. So assault armor didn't actually see a lot of play. We're back during like the mega heavyweight meta.
Yep.
But now I feel like it's going to see a bit more because people are less incentivized to run just quad and only quad. Or Tetrapod. I guess we should really start calling it Tetrapod because that's what the game calls it.
Yeah.
And then we can say like Quad Zuka Tetra, which is really nice instead of Quad Zuka Quad.
Yeah, it's old habit for me. I've been calling them quad since 1997. It's gonna be really hard for me to call them anything else.
Dude, I wasn't even born yet. Like, I'm 24 years old, homie. I was not even, god dang, I was not even born yet when you started calling them that.
I see someone talk about like quad lasers and I'm like, which quad? What quad? Do you mean like quad legs or like quad lasers?
Say 4X. There you go. Now we know.
Just 4 laser quad. But I'm missing something 4 laser 4 when I say that. It's like, oh my god, this game is so goofy, dude. But I absolutely love it.
So what is meta?
So what is meta right now?
So what is meta? What is the meta?
So the current tournament meta, as far as we know, because patch still new, so there are 3 meta builds at the moment. These are the top 3 builds in the tournament that we played in. last weekend. Pretty sure these are the top 3 builds in no bans environment. There is a rat, a cat, and a lobster. That's what's happening. That's what's happening right now. So the rat, as I mentioned earlier, is a lightweight build that just runs away the entire time. It's extremely fast. Has quad missiles on it. Just keeps, just runs away the entire time. That is the idea of a rat. Is just play the timer, make them approach you, and just try your best not to die in like 2 interactions. Because again, rats, paper thin defenses, really hard to actually play around. Then you have the cat, which is basically a rat catcher. It is a lightweight build that's almost as fast as the rat, but it has guns on it to make having much easier time to catch rats. Like we saw a really good one come out from, I can't remember who it was. It might have been you, Blend, but it was like a double laser handgun build.
Yeah, that was me.
There you go, exactly. So you can talk about a bit more about like what a rat catcher is, like what a cat is.
It's basically just a lightweight with weapons that I think probably would do well against missile kite. Because like the biggest problem with lobster or like any really heavyweight close range brawler is that they're just way too slow. It's my opinion that you only need to be around like 100 speed of whoever you're trying to catch in order to catch them with like laser handguns or any laser. So if who you're trying to catch is at like 560, all you gotta be is at 460. And as long as you play well, it's winnable. But of course, closer speeds is easier. If you want to catch them with something like Zimmers, you probably want to be around like 50 speed of what you're trying to catch.
Yeah. So, and then we can talk about what a lobster is. So a lobster, as we talked about earlier, is double LCS, double LRB on a heavy tank. Like not a heavy tank, a heavy Tetra or a heavy biped. Sometimes a tank, but tanks I feel like just lose even harder to rats. So it's kind of an RPS almost meta. It's like rat beats lobster, lobster beats cat, and cat beats rat. That's kind of how it works right now. That's the absolute no ban, like not absolute as in like definitely because we're still early days of this patch, but that is like the no bans meta. That is the triangle of no bans because lobster because it's so much DPS, it can just kind of obliterate the cat. Because again, the cat has to get close, hit with those laser handguns or hit with whatever weapons they're kind of using. You can make a lightweight cat that might have a better chance against lobster, but good luck because LCSs do so much impact and do so much damage. Actually, I'm going to check how much the LCSs do right now even. So LCSs do 500 impact and 925 attack. Ooh. And you can just kind of spam these things pretty easily, especially since you have 2 of those. You're basically doing 1,000 impact every time you fire both of them. Which and then 2,000 damage almost. So yeah, lobster is a very strong build. It's very spooky. And so like a cat kind of struggles against that. But a rat, you're just never in range of the LCS, so who cares? Yeah, I don't care how much damage you do as long as I play well, which again, you have to play well as a rat. That's something that people don't really understand, is that rats aren't just a free win, or like missile kite isn't like a free win. If you're running like a midweight missile kite build, like a boat or something like that, like a heavyweight one, then if you lose to that, that's kind of on you because you should be fast enough. You should have the DPS to kick them out. They shouldn't be able to run from you as much as they could in the previous patch. But against a rat, like it's understandable to lose against that, but the rat has to play well still, because if they get caught like once or twice, they just die. Like that was something I even struggled with, where I was just like, dang, rat seems like a really boring playstyle, and it seems like you're just running away from me and just like turning around and shooting. But then like you catch them once and they get obliterated, you're like, oh, now I get it. Now I understand. You die if I touch you. Interesting. So there's definitely some like community misinterpretation there when it comes to rat builds.
Yeah. So here's the question. So obviously super early in the patch, people will make adjustments in tournaments as far as what they say is or is not allowed. Obviously certain restrictions will breed better diversity, so to speak. So if there was going to be any, maybe you both can speak this. I don't think I can speak this quite as much because I haven't competed much myself personally. I've watched a lot of tournaments and helped a lot of them like be organized, but I haven't actually watched as many of them or participated as many of them. If there is a play style that's not listed in the triangle of rat, cat, lobster, which I think it's funny that they're all animals, but like the cat getting the rat makes sense, and but the lobster getting the cat, whatever.
Well, okay, go. So basically what happened with that naming convention, so Larbster became a thing as, LRB.
Yeah.
Larbster. People thought it was the LRB that was really strong, but then we found out that, it's the LCS is what carries
Very
the build.
much.
So it should technically be the LCS-ster, but like I fucking hate that, so we're just gonna keep calling it Larbster.
Gotcha.
Lester?
I'm not calling it Lester. Fuck that. It's just a guy named Lester who who's afraid of rats, but like picks up the cat.
Oh my goodness.
god, that's actually really funny. But anyway,
He's local pest control.
we still. Oh my god, dude! Dude, exactly. But he's afraid. That's so dumb. Anyway,
go full Bob Barker. Get your cat spayed or neutered. That's basically what Lester says.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so we were talking about was like why it's named that way. That's just what the community started calling it, and then rats came about to kind of counter the dual Zimm Tetra builds, and then rat catchers became a thing. So then since dual Zimm Tetra is kind of like falling off pretty hard, now we kind of just have that trifecta of rat, cat, and lobster.
So did dual Zimm Tetra have a name?
As far as I know, no. It was just called dual Zimm Tetra.
Wow.
Yeah, but I feel like for the entirety of this game's lifespan, I think we're going to start naming builds after animals just because of what happened.
We need a name for it now.
By pure coincidence.
We need a name for it now.
But like, oh my god! Like, I mean, honestly, until it becomes a meta threat again, I feel like we don't. Like, we can just call it that. Like, I feel like these names come like pretty naturally, which is really cool.
The builds that shall not be named.
Because.
So anyway, so I was getting my original question. So if there is a meta or a build option or a build style or play style that's currently not necessarily featured in the triangle of the animals, what do you think that might be? Is it quad Zooka, like 4 Zooks? Like is that going to be a thing? Like is it
quad Zooka might be a thing because there's actually some really cool tech with it. If you're in hover mode on a Tetra and you fire your dual Zookas, and then you can like quick boost and then you swap immediately and you can fire them immediately afterwards. As far as I know, that's how the tech works. But there's some sort of tech on Tetra legs where you can fire Zookas even faster than you normally can, because you can like cancel the like steady animation with a quick boost. So I feel like we're going to see a lot more play of that. And quad Zookas, I feel like they could really do well. Not gonna lie. Like we saw Stick do amazingly, but the issue is like, what build does that beat? Because I feel like you lose hard to rat. Cat can have a much easier time than against a lobster, and lobster just has more DPS. So like, what do you? I don't understand how that build would fit into the triangle at all. Because like, it really depends on if you can beat rat or not. I feel like that's kind of the issue. It's like, because like, if you're a Tetra, you have to have really high DPS to be able to keep up. Because your assault boost is just a lot worse now. Like, even with Weasel.
What if that's the build for wheelchair? What if 4 Zook wheelchair is the thing?
That might actually work, because let's see. So how fast can you make a wheelchair? So wheelchair right now.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think wheelchairs would definitely be like something to look out for this patch. As to how good it actually is, not quite sure yet. But like in the rat cat lobster matchup, the wheelchair is definitely fast enough that it is a viable kite to the lobster.
Really? It's viable
for sure.
I will fight against lobster? Interesting.
Yeah. As to how, I think we just haven't played it enough to see how the matchup actually is, but it seems viable for now. And it definitely seems like it has more potential against rats than the lobster does. So, like, because of its passive boost speed, and its speed in general, you know?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So it could be something that covers the middle ground in between.
So I just real quick made a lightweight wheelchair build real quick. This is as light as humanly possible that I can make it and still be the swordium. It's got 378 boost speed, and let me check out the assault boost speed here is 482, which is honestly that should be enough to catch a rat, right? As you mentioned, it had to be like 100 speed from it.
482? You got 482?
Yeah, on the boost speed, on the not the boost speed, on the assault boost speed.
Wait, hold on. Let me boot that up.
We're inventing a meta mid podcast. We're gonna break the world.
Honestly. Dude, honestly, I feel like again, what this podcast is it's just the state of the game.
Yo, Yeah, no, you're right. It is for definitely. There's definitely something to be explored here that I don't think we've explored yet. And I guess this sits somewhere in the cat area, which is another thing I want to say, in that in like the sort of triangle and trifecta, the cat is like super unexplored. Because my idea is that there might, instead of maybe thinking of it as like one thing, we can think about it like as like a progressive how cat it is versus how rat it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because like a
Like
cat
there could be slower ones.
a cat can.
There could be slower ones. Yeah. They could be slower ones or faster ones that might be better at kiting or better at fighting. You know?
Yeah, because if you make a cat that can beat a lobster, that's the best build in the game, like easily.
Yeah, which I think would really this is complete hypothetical speculation now, but I think that would really encourage more diversity on the lobster side. You know, instead of 4 lasers, maybe you'd have things that are specifically aimed at killing cats and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like it all boils down to like people say the game is RPS, and to a certain degree they're right. But you have to think of it this way: builds are not like games are not won or lost in the garage. You can lose in the garage. Like we saw Chibuddy try to make a cat build just like mid-tournament and accidentally forgot to take off their Basho arms from their rat build.
Yep.
So they're running dual Harris with Basho arms. Like that was just unwinnable for them. Like that build was just, you know, bad. Like you couldn't do that. Which, by the way, messing around with this this build a bit more, I was looking at the 396 boost speed on the wheelchair, which that's insanity. That's crazy with Quadzookas. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. That after that ADHD tangent right there. But builds are won and lost in the garage. That's true. You can do that. But if your builds are both meta, like they're both good enough, you can still win. Like we saw, didn't Chibuddy win one of the matches between Lobster and Rat? I'm pretty sure they won one round.
Yeah, I think that
because
I
of
think
that
they did too.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not the hard counter to your build isn't unbeatable, and you can even beat a cat as a rat. You can even beat a lobster as a cat. It depends on how well you are playing the game, and if you are at a point where you are at a top level like Blend here is, you can make a build work. Like even if it's a pretty dang bad build, you can make it work now, especially with the nerfs to speed and stuff like that.
I think a lot of people gotta, if rat becomes more and more of a thing, which I think it will with this patch, you're gonna, they just called missile jets, then they became rats. Am I right with the missile jets is the correct thing still? That's the same thing more or less?
Yeah, missile fighter jets, yes.
Okay. So I think we're gonna run into is there's gonna be new, like you said, the meta or the skill expression is developing. I think you're gonna see a whole lot more positional play. If you're going to have a whole lot more kiting going on, if you're going to be on a much slower build, your positional and basically locational awareness on trying to box the rat in is going to be all the more crucial than it's ever been before in this game, as far as making sure you know, okay, where are they going to go? Are they going to go over? Are they going to go left? Are they going to go right? And try to basically corner the rat, you know, so to speak, to catch it. As rats is what you do when you can go catch a rat, you try to corner them. So I think... Mm-hmm. I think Absolutely. You're going to have a lot more options for that, which is going to be really interesting to see how people basically adapt to having to basically catch something that's not just playing, here, chase me, you know, assault boost. It's going to be more, okay, where do I position myself to better, you know, put myself into a position to win?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be explored there, because as of right now, for us, it's still kind of like a, I'm just gonna like chase. When I this feels kind of like an okay way to chase. I'm just gonna chase, you know. But like the general philosophy is that you're not faster than them in a straight line. If the map were infinite, you would never catch them. In order to catch them, you need to use the corners to box them in. So definitely, there's like a lot of map-specific exploration you could do when it comes to like optimal routes to like box somebody in. You know what I'm saying?
But another thing I want to talk about is like people get really upset when they fight against missile bots like that. I feel like it is a bit of a, well, rats. I feel like it is definitely a skill check that happens there when you're fighting a rat build. Because like if you're more of a casual player, you're gonna absolutely fucking hate fighting rats. Like 1000%, you're gonna fucking hate it. Because even a badly played rat can just obliterate a casual player. because it's like it's hard to catch you. Like it's just like you have to play around the map. You have to play around, like you have to have a decent build and stuff like that. Like rats, I feel like are the gatekeepers when it comes to builds. Like when I'm making a new build for like a video or something like that, I'm thinking to myself, how does this build fight a rat? Like is there any possible way that I catch a rat with this build? And if the answer is no, that build sucks. Like that build is just bad. And if it loses hard the rat, then like what does it gain from that? Because like the Larbster, the reason why it's so good is because it basically beats any build that isn't a rat. Like it is the most DPS potential in the entire video game.
That's like the thing I want to talk about, in that I don't see meta as a state of, well, how strong is this thing? I see it as like how wide of a net does it cast? You know, how many favorable matchups does it get versus how many unfavorable matchups it gets.
The reason why the meta is decently healthy right now is because Larbster wins a ton of matchups, but the one matchup they lose is a prominent build that is just, it's a hard loss. It really is. It is really difficult to actually to catch a rat on a Larbster, because you're just so slow and your damage is all mid range.
You think we'll start seeing some middleweight Larbsters maybe?
Honestly, we might. I wonder how midweight I can make a Larbster. Let me try that real quick. So I'm gonna work on that while y'all talk about more about the game and stuff like that, because we have more things to talk about, don't you? Actually, you know what? Cleric, go ahead and talk about your tournament while I do this.
All right, sure. All right, so the tournament. Okay. Well, so I'll go a little deep dive here because you guys are testing some stuff.
We'll first talk about like why. Just first talk about exactly what it is, and then you can talk about like why you came about the idea, or like why you decided to make it the idea.
All right, so it's a ratio tournament. So ratio essentially meaning, if you want to give it a more term that people probably understand better, it's point buy. Effectively, we've given point values to every part in the game, essentially heads, legs, cores, weapons, boosters. Burzel is very expensive. It's essentially designed around the concept of, rather than just straight up banning parts, you give really strong parts a higher point cost, not as strong or not as oftenly used parts a lower point cost, give people a total number of points they can use for the tournament. Has to be at that point cost or lower, and that's what you enter the tournament with. You submit 2 builds. In our case, we're doing 2 build submissions. You can have 2 builds for the tournament and see what comes about from those 200 points. We're hoping to see a lot of variety out of it. That's kind of the intention, more or less, behind it. But yeah, it's basically, it's not just banning this or banning that or saying only this or only that. It's saying, hey, you can use whatever you want, but it's going to cost you depending on, and you have to make some sacrifices in other places if you want to use some of the higher end or more often used or really powerful parts.
Yeah, so basically the idea is to, like, let's say you have a Zimmerman, right? You want to run dual Zim for your build. Like, let's say pre-patch, you want to run dual Zim. Dual Zim costs a ton. Like, it's what, 50 points per Zim is what you had?
I think it might have been 55 pre-patch.
Yeah, so basically, dual Zims are super duper expensive. So good luck fitting that in your build. If you're running dual Zims or something like that, it would be, really expensive, and you might have to run a lightweight. And pre-patch lightweight, good luck.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna be pretty hard to run. So basically the idea is how good your build is, or how good your weapons are, determines how good your core is, or your frame is. So it's kind of it's honestly a really cool idea. I feel like we're gonna see a lot of build diversity. I feel like with and you can even like almost patch that tournament idea. Like, okay, now Zims cost less now this patch,
and they do.
It's kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah. We made a lot of adjustments to the builder. We know it's really not perfect. We really liked where the builder was before the patch. We thought we had it pretty well fine-tuned with lots of data points.
I guess we shouldn't have had the patch then, huh?
Oh, no, I'm glad it's there. Actually, I put the Undertaker meme, where it's like, literally, it's like, the guy's smiling, oh, awesome patch, and then Undertaker behind's like, yeah, but ratio tournament. I'm like, oh.
Which I actually had to get delayed. It was going to be last Saturday, wasn't it?
No, it was always planned for the 14th. It always was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it worked out so it wasn't too bad of a crunch time. Shout out to Cassius from my Discord. He did a lot of the work and math on the setup. So yeah, we adjusted it quite a bit. There's probably some more adjustments to be made. Honestly, we just need more data points and more games and more matches and more feedback, which we'll probably honestly have to almost use the tournament for. We feel good enough where things are currently. We still think there's probably some things that will need adjusting, but at some point you had to kind of lock in the points and not keep making adjustments, or else people are going to have to keep changing their builds and frustrate them. So we're trying to give people enough time to
Yeah.
be able to make builds and go into it. So I have no doubt we'll make some changes after this one, but we feel like it's good enough to be tournament worthy.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, so I have made a build real quick. So definitely go check out the link in the description for that. So I actually use the LRAs instead of the LRBs because LRAs have just slightly less DPS than the LRBs. But I've made a build that gets to 281 boost speed, and the assault boost speed is 497.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
And this is a Larbster build, so this might actually be a meta threat. This build that I've just created right now. So watch out for that. But anyway, so like you could definitely like there's a lot to explore here.
I think it's definitely too early to be calling it an RPS because the cat is so unexplored. We know about the rat, we know about the lobster, but like whatever happens in like the cat area is going. I think it's too early to call it an RPS. Is what I'm saying. There's definitely going to be more.
I agree, but in this current state of the game, because again, this is a state of the game podcast. In the current state of the game, it is. But in the future, it might not be, because again, if you like, I basically just made a cat build. I made a cat lobster hybrid. I made a catster, is what I made right now.
A catster.
And like if I can beat lobster with this build, then this is the new best build in the game because I can beat rat with it. I can beat lobster with it, and it's technically a cat. But that all depends on if I can do that. You know what I mean?
Yep. It needs more data.
So, exactly. So, and then what beats this? And can that also have a good matchup between all the other meta builds? Like right now we have a decent amount of meta builds, like a decent amount of like different configurations of these core ideas. Because basically it comes down to the core idea of the build. Like the reason why the Larbster is so good is because it has the best DPS in the entire game. Like that's why it's so gosh darn good. Even if you stack a bunch of energy defense, you're still going to struggle against the Larbster. Because it just does so much fucking damage.
Yep.
So, like, if you can find a build that does more DPS than this one, then you win. Because that's basically what a Larbster is. It's a DPS check. Or it's a DPS race. You just lose because they're running a Larbster. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
To people who are watching. You know, it all boils down to, like, what does your build do better than the current meta builds? If you're running a tournament, if you're just playing the game for fun, which I completely understand, then whatever the heck you want. And you can just, like, make rule sets with your friends. You can be like, hey, let's not run a rat build, because rats honestly are the big gatekeeper when it comes to the game. That's why I think melee is so like, not... It's not unviable. Like, we've seen a few people, like a Polaroid tournament, which happened last weekend. A Plasma Thor player actually got second place, which was really, really cool. That wasn't a no bans environment. That was a Highlander tournament where you can only run like one of each weapon. Like you couldn't have two LCSs and stuff like that.
Yeah, Highlander biped only, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, but we saw a Plasma Thor do really well in that tournament. I think Plasma Thor is really, really strong. And Explosive Thor is also seeming pretty strong this patch as well. I know it's not a melee weapon, but it's the same category. It doesn't benefit from melee spec, but it is like in that same category of like a close range high DPS option. Which is kind of like, I don't know, it honestly drives me crazy that Explosive Thor is right next to all the melee weapons. Like, it's in between Power Bunker and Chainsaw. Like, it's so weird. Like, it doesn't benefit from melee spec whatsoever. And it's not like traditional melee, so why is it here? Why is it right there? It's so
because
weird.
It's left arm only. That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, yeah, but like, why not put it in like right before the melee weapons or right after them or something? Like, not in the middle. Like, that makes no sense. They clump them
together. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so basically what I'm trying to say is the meta is not 100% solved. The meta at this point right now is what we've been talking about. That's what the meta is right now. But the meta a week from now might be completely different because someone might be able to find this cat build that just does everything. And then it's like, okay, how do we combat this? Like the more and more optimized that we get as players, the better this game is going to be.
It's also kind of the point of the ratio tournament too, because we're kind of hoping from the ratio tournament you'll see some weapons that don't get used as often, and maybe if they start getting used more often in these types of tournaments, a new weapon or a new play style, or particularly like weapons or parts, might see more use and actually see them explored more and actually these have a lot more application in a lot more areas. We should probably be using or exploring these more. We're kind of hoping that's what comes out of the ratio style system, is that you just see things you don't normally see very often. So like I said, we'll see as things move on. But you asked earlier what the inspiration was behind the ratio system.
Yeah, go for it.
So there's a game called Capcom vs SNK2, which is a 3v3 fighter. In that game, you have what's called a ratio fighter system. So essentially, you normally would have 3v3, but you have the option of sacrificing additional characters to only use one or even two characters, and you made those two characters or one character even stronger. So Justin Wong is a very prolific fighting game player. He's been around for years playing the games, been multiple first places, and great fighting game player, great content creator too. And he made that same kind of tier list for Marvel vs. Capcom 2, another 3v3 fighting game. Well, this obviously didn't have a ratio system built into it, and so he basically took a tier list that he made of what he thought were the strongest and weakest characters in the game. The top end players were worth like 5 points for the top end characters, all the way down to poor roll in the game was worth -1. So it actually gave you a point back in your character selection if you used roll.
That's so funny to me. It's like, imagine being so like bad and you're fighting and you give a character a point, like you give your player a point. That's so fucking funny.
She's generally terrible in the game. So he basically applied that, and basically, so you see again, maybe characters you wouldn't normally see in high-end tournaments, but in high-end play, it was awesome to get to see like really good players use characters you almost never see. And so you saw brand new tech you never saw before. It was like, dude, I didn't know you could do that in this game, because you saw that because the high-end tournament players were playing characters that almost never get used because they're that much weaker than the top-tier characters. So I really wanted something like that in Armored Core, and I was kind of waxing eloquent about the system to my Discord and talking to some people about it, how I'd like something like that in Armored Core, and no joke, that worked. About 48 hours later or so, I go, hey, Cleric, check out this link, and I go to it, and sure enough, they've already started an entire math equation system that weighs out like damage and stagger and stability and speed and like, what is all this? And like, yeah, we're gonna build it for your ratio system idea. We're gonna flush it out here for a couple weeks. You actually can have like a whole builder for it. I'm like, wait, what? And so shout out to them, they're amazing. I was just thinking I would love this system, and they just kind of took it and ran with it. And so now we have a builder. It exists, and I actually think this could be something that is advantageous to a lot of people in a lot of tournament runs. We're going to open source it here at some point, where essentially you can see, where anyone can see how the math works, and you can adjust the point totals if you want, all those things. You can run your own versions of the tournament, and essentially we hope what it does is that, because when you have bans in tournaments, not that they're not viable, because certain things should just be gone. Bans have existed in Armored Core tournaments since Silent Line. They've been gone. Things got banned back then too. And it's when you ban certain weapons or parts, you just see other parts instead. And so we're hoping with this, we're not looking to ban the parts. The parts are still there. You can still use them. They're just going to cost you. And so it might encourage you to try something else instead. So yeah, that's more or less the point or the process around the tournament idea for the ratio system.
It's honestly such a cool idea. I'm super excited to see how that works out.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see, I think. Like, to play with a bunch of things that are just, like, never played.
Yeah, 'cause again, as I told you earlier, you can basically patch that idea. Like, let's say, next tournament, you lower the point cost of these few things, and then all of a sudden, you can do so many different combinations, already. Like, it's like, while you're waiting for actual patches to come through, and adjust weapons like that, you can just play in Cleric's tournaments, and then, boom, you have, like, a new weapon meta every single tournament, because these things have been lowered. Like, let's say, for Mesolegs cost a lot in this tournament. I don't know if that's true or not, but, you know, just that's hypothetically. And then all of a sudden, for Mesolegs costs a lot less. Now, you have a whole new leg option you can mess around with a bunch of different really powerful weapons. It's a really cool idea.
I got a new meta to figure out every tournament.
Exactly. There you go. A new meta to break, basically.
By all means, break it.
Yeah.
If you break it, we know what to fix.
Definitely, like, keeps things fresh with the keeps things fresh, like with also the like the no bans running parallel alongside it.
See, what I want to do for my future tournaments for the Hutassa series, the second one that happens every last Saturday of every month, is how I'm going to be playing on these events. I want to do something really cool where I have a build lock. According to Bowles, we talked about last week on the podcast. Words are hard. We've been speaking for like an hour. Give me a break. But we've been talking about a build lock idea where basically you have one AC that you run for the entire tournament. And I think that sounds fucking awesome because you can't really run a lobster, can't really run a cat, can't really run a rat because you just lose to these other builds. So what is the actual best build in the game? Like, what can do it all? Like, what is the, like, people are saying it's an RPS. What if we just take out that entirely? You cannot change your build during the tournament. Like, what are you going to run? It's such a cool idea because then you have to, like, you have to consider heavyweight builds, you have to consider lightweight builds, you have to consider midweight builds, you have to consider literally everything. And I think that's such a cool idea. And it's gonna be a sports bracket format, which means you have to fight multiple opponents. You can't just, like, hope to get lucky with your bracket and never have to fight a lightweight build the entire time. You have to play almost everyone in the tournament with the Swiss bracket.
Yeah, I speaking of Swiss,
so cool.
I think that's really cool. I love the idea of what that tournament style. I look forward to watching and maybe participating if I get a free Saturday. But yeah, speaking of you mentioned Swiss, so I know a lot of people have been asking for it as a general rule because they think it gives. What's cool about Swiss, it gives people a chance to play more games. So if you're new to the tournament scene, especially, unless you're Dez who just wrecked in your tournament, it's like this is my first ever tournament.
Shout out to that guy.
I'm like, what?
Dude, Blend, that was the okay. So we actually have Blend in the call with us. Like they're here. Blend, like that was Dez's first tournament and they knocked you out of it. That's fucking crazy to me.
Yeah.
That kid has potential. Like that is wild.
I wasn't expecting that
The
one.
double Triano, double DBLT coral rifles, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the double Walter, double trainer. Like that. That is insanity. That is so freaking cool. They're like their ability to like juggle that cooldown with all three versions of the weapon because they weren't just using it as a normal shoot weapon. They were using all three stages, which I think is so fucking cool. Like we saw some noodle gameplay, and the noodle being the big beam. We saw that in like top 8 of the tournament, wasn't it? Like what place did Dez get? Dez got 7th. So yeah, top 8. We saw top 8 double Walter cannon. That is insanity to me. But that's so freaking cool.
So unless you're Dez, and make it really far, a lot of people new to the tournament scene are going to go like 0-2 in many cases, and so then then boom, you're out, you're done. You kind of lose interest. Whereas Swiss format gives you a chance to get more games under your belt. I think it's important for people because I know a lot of people get like tournament nerves. Like I've known people personally who are great at the games, just not just Armored Core, but games as a whole. But man, as soon as they put their name on a bracket and have to play someone in a tournament, like they shake to pieces. So it's good to get some tournament experience in you, and that's what the Swiss format allows you to do.
It's gonna be such a fun time because again, as you said, like I go 0-2 in this tournament. I'm like, well, damn, now I just have to sit here for the next forever. And that's really disappointing, because like you want to play more games, you get like maybe unlucky with your matchups, and then all of a sudden you have to just sit and watch. Like that sucks. That sucks so much for a new player. But now you don't have to, which is really cool. You can just keep playing, and I honestly love that. I'm super excited for this format. I think it's the future of Armored Core 6.
We're running double elimination for the tournament this Saturday still, but I think any tournament we run going forward will probably end up being Swiss format for that very reason.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I feel like that is a natural place to end it. I feel like we got some really good discussion in here. Let me know what you think in the comments below about like the rat, cat, lobster trifecta, and like maybe something we can improve for next time with this podcast. Because again, I am trying out a new thing every single time. We had much more structure with this one, which I think was nice. A lot less tangents, which was cool. And honestly, I really enjoyed talking to you guys.
Yeah, you too. It was great. Great discussion. Great information.
Yeah.
It was cool meeting you, Cleric.
It was great to meet you too. I feel bad. Like, I've been around the scene for so long, and there's so many new faces. Like, it's just like, I don't know that person. I don't know that person. I don't know that person. And you unfortunately fell in that category. I'm glad we actually got to meet and talk this time. And I look forward to doing more stuff together. I think I am very community focused first. So I tell people, put your tournaments up in my Discord, put videos up in my Discord. Like, I'm all for building the Armored Core community as a whole. So anything I can do to help do that, I'm more than happy to do so.
Exactly. Like, this community is so freaking cool. Like, I know we talk bad about the game every once in a while, but the community is so fucking good, dude. Like, it's legitimately mind blowing how awesome this community is. Like, I can do this for a living now. Like, I went full time recently, and it's because of how nice the community's been to just people like me who run tournaments and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. It's been absolutely just breathtaking, and I appreciate all of you. Especially if you made it this far, because that's like insane. Like we're talking for an hour and 40 minutes.
I could talk about Armored Core for another 3
making it this
if
far
you
is
want.
crazy.
Like, it's not hard for me.
I can keep going.
I got maybe next time, because I got to edit this for Wednesday and it's currently Monday. So, but I want to start doing this a bit earlier. But the issue with the State of the Game podcast kind of idea is that like I have to do it decently early, or like let's say like then the information just like is outdated if I don't do it like in a decent time frame to when the episode actually gets released. Because let's say I recorded this last Wednesday. Well, the patch comes out Thursday, or came out Thursday. Yep. So,
does have a giant warning sign that says "does not reflect recent patch," just like flashing the whole time on the screen.
But then it's just useless, and the podcast doesn't make any sense to want to listen to. It's like, anyway. Speaking of listening to, thank you for watching. I very much appreciate it. Blend, where can people find you? Like, do you have a Twitter or anything like that?
Nope. I mean, I'm Blend on Discord.
He is Blend on Discord.
So I guess if you want to hit them up on Discord, if you want to at them in either my Discord or maybe even Cleric's, if they're in Cleric's Discord, something like that, that works. Cleric, I'm gonna go ahead and put your YouTube link, and I don't think you stream on Twitch. I think you are just a YouTube boy. I'll put it in the description down below. So if you want to keep up to date with tournaments and stuff like that, definitely go check out Cleric's channel. Because that's like the majority of things you do, right? It's just
tournament updates, just
like
community building stuff. We're actually working on a couple of things with maybe like a league potentially, where is something that's in the works at the moment.
Ooh,
so
that sounds cool.
Something to kind of have more community engagement. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and you can find me right here, where you're watching this right now. So I don't really have to plug myself. You're already here. Anyway, thank you for listening to episode 3 of Armored Cast. Thank you so much to Cleric and Bren for being here with me. I'm gonna go ahead and end it. Y'all have a wonderful day. Actually, no. I forgot. I need to do this. Blend, say something funny.
What? I don't got anything. Hey.
This is why it's so good. It puts you on the spot. Now go ahead and say something funny, Blend. Go ahead and do it.
Dude, I don't have anything.
All right. I'll go ahead and just end it then. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Bye. See ya.
Goodbye. All right, that was awesome.
See ya.
Stop recording.